CNB Bazaar Buzz. It's a brand new episode. Thanks for joining us. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. Let's get straight to what's coming up on today's program. The local production of the GLC from Mercedes-Benz begins. We'll tell you what that variant carries. A special conversation at the launch of the new generation Discovery from Land Rover with its chief designer, Gerry McGovern. We showed you the onboard diagnostic tool last week. Now we'll tell you how it works. So all of that is coming up. Now let's get straight to that locally made GLC from Mercedes-Benz. The vehicle is now rolling out of its plant in Chakan in Pune. But this has become almost traditional now for Mercedes-Benz. First bring us the launch edition, which is slightly better loaded, but being a direct import, it's also slightly more expensive. And then we get the locally made car that rolls out at a slightly more attractive price tag. So what does this car have and what doesn't it? Ameya Naik was there at the plant to bring you these details.
Mercedes-Benz launched the GLC in India in June this year. Dubbed as the Edition 1, Mercedes-Benz first brought the car to India in the CBU avatar, and it had said back then that it's putting all its efforts to bring out a locally produced version soon. Mercedes-Benz rolled out its Made in India GLC from the company's plant in Chakan, Pune. But there are a few changes in the feature lineup.
The GLC is the 9th car in Mercedes-Benz India's portfolio to be locally produced at its Chakan plant. And well, it comes priced at 47 lakh, which is actually 2 lakh less than the CBU, which actually makes it a very good car on offer. So this is the diesel variant here, and yes, it loses out on a bunch of features because it is locally produced. So things like memory seat, electric tailgate, even, well, navigation is not standard anymore. And there's no 3-zone air conditioning, but just 2-zone. Then there is the electric tailgate, which is lost, and it's just a manual operation now. So yes, a bunch of features are thrown out, but well, you get a car that is not bad in features at all, at a very, very good price. So well, let's see how Mercedes-Benz India does with this car in India.
There was a strong strategy behind the GLC being made in India, and we'll see more cars going this way.
Well, it's very simple actually, if you come to think of it. With the government regulations in place and the taxation structure, it makes a lot of sense for us to bring in vehicle to be locally manufactured, because we are then able to bring our vehicles into a completely new price bracket. Therefore, we also have a high tendency to basically pass on all the tax benefits also onto customers. Because it is a simple calculation and a business case strategy that we follow, that after a unit, for instance, reaches about 500 units as a sales potential in the marketplace, we then look closely into also manufacturing it locally. And this is where the volume game comes in, because naturally the more vehicles we have that reach that bracket, the more volumes and vehicles we can produce locally, and that gives us a host of different pricing possibilities.
The company has also been looking at adding petrol variants to their cars, and well, this trend will continue.
It was actually favorable that we had already the decision that we would go for a petrol version in each and every of our product lineups. We have made that way back in 2015 when nobody was talking about a diesel ban. It came to be quite foresightful. We would like to take that as pride as ownership, but no, we were just also in a certain sense lucky. But we have now a vehicle, a petrol version in each and every of our lineups, and it is working very well for us because it gives customer choice. This is what all this is about. Let's not forget, 10 years ago only we had basically 90% petrol versions in all of our vehicles. I don't think we will come back to that, because also let's not forget there are CO2 restrictions, there's CAFE standards, there is a clear directive also from the government that they want to go and basically promote less emissions on CO2. This only works long term also with diesel vehicles in place.
The GLC is available in the petrol and diesel engine options. The GLC 220D is powered by a 2,143cc 4-cylinder diesel motor that produces 170 brake horsepower, while the GLC 300 petrol unit is tuned for 245 bhp. Both units compared to a 9-speed automatic transmission with power sent to all 4 wheels via the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. There's a lot more coming from the Mercedes-Benz stable in India, and we can't be happier that more cars are coming to India.
So that's the locally made GLC. Now, at the ongoing Paris Motor Show, Mercedes has also shown a plug-in hybrid variant of the GLC. And there is some small talk about that possibly coming to India, but still about a year away is what we are told. Maybe a little more because, of course, that car will require the Euro 6 or BS6 grade of fuel as well. Something to look forward to. Now, also at that show, we've seen the Discovery making its big debut. That's the latest 5th generation car from Land Rover. And it makes a huge departure in terms of its design language and styling. The car looks nothing like the last Discovery, and that has been intentional, says Gerry McGovern, design director at Land Rover. I spoke with him at the Paris show. Global debut of the Discovery. It is a very big deal here at the Paris show. Let's talk a little bit more about that with Gerry McGovern. Great to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Always a pleasure, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Cliched, obvious question. I think a lot of people have asked you this already, but when you think Discovery, a lot of people in their heads instantly get square, square headlamp, square design, slab side at the back. Was it difficult to move away from that, or was that always the idea?
Well, as you know, we have a clear design strategy for all our vehicles. Remember, we've got families of Range Rovers, Discoveries and Defenders eventually. And part of that strategy is to design vehicles that are relevant for today and are modern, starting with what I call optimised volume and proportions from a design standpoint. Now, clearly the Discovery does have a unique heritage like all our vehicles, and the one that this is replacing has been around for probably about 12 years now, and it's become known for the vehicle that can take you anywhere, it can take you where other vehicles can't. It's this incredible capability. So we didn't want to lose the essence of that.
Is it intentional also to take some of that, inherent sort of attribute of a Discovery and then make it a little more luxurious and a little more?
Yeah, that has been a deliberate shift with this. We saw it on the small Discovery Sport, the compact, which is now our best-selling vehicle. But this is a flagship, so it needs to go up a notch. Our customers have been saying to us for a long time that they want to see more of a luxury execution in their Discoveries. They actually want it to be more Range Rover-like. But clearly it's if you think about Range Rover being exclusive and luxurious, this is inclusive, and it's very premium. So there's a clear level of differentiation, but in terms of the finish, they are quite deliberately getting closer together, and eventually when the family of Defenders come, then you'll see it will all make sense in terms of their positioning.
You sort of preempted my next question, because for the customers who then who intentionally want rugged, they're not going to find it in the Discovery family. Is it going to be the Defender family?
Well, I'd qualify that by saying this is a very rugged vehicle. Sure. It's for me that juxtaposition of it looking great and very desirable, but it's incredibly capable. Now, some people want that. They don't want to shout about the fact that it's very tough. I think the next generation of Defenders will be a totally different design approach. Well, not to say I think, it will be a totally different design approach, which will have a more overt aesthetic in terms of its durability and toughness. But don't underestimate this. This is tough as old boots.
Would you say that now that's the next thing that's going to start taking up most of your time and attention, the Defender family?
We're in the process of creating a whole new generation of vehicles. And remember, the SUV market, I use the term SUV in a generic sense, is growing. By the year 2020, there'll be over 22 million SUV type products sold globally. So that's a big market for us to play in. And already, if you think about Range Rover Sport, no other manufacturer sells luxury SUVs at that price point, at that level of volume. So there's much more opportunities for Range Rover. There's more opportunities for Discovery in terms of where we want to go with niche type products. And clearly we've got a family of Land Rovers coming with maybe some very significant surprises along the way.
That's good to know, and something to look forward to, of course, as always. But with the Discovery as well, at least all of us hope there's going to be that third member. So
well, for me, it isn't a family unless there's at least three.
Yeah.
So
you've said that before.
Yeah.
So two things that we've started to see happen in the market. and I'm sure you've sort of taken note of that. The first, of course, is all this talk about both autonomous and electric vehicles. So how much of your forward-looking design strategy takes that into account? And I'll ask you the second thing after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, the whole subject of autonomous driving is a fascinating one. It is something we're focused on. And what does that mean for us in terms of the way we design these vehicles? You know, in terms of the inside, for a start, you know, if you're not driving the car, what are you doing? How are you spending your time? You're sitting there reading a book, you're having a sleep, you're not even facing out to the street. So it changes things considerably. And if it's electrification, which we've talked about, again, that could change the architecture fundamentally. So these are things that are very much at the forefront of our minds as we develop our next generation of vehicles. I think from an autonomous driving standpoint, I think there'll always be a desire for people that will want to connect with the car and be able to take control, because let's face it, a lot of these vehicles, they resonate with people on an emotional level. We don't need luxury or premium vehicles, we desire them, and that's a differentiator. And if everything becomes so rationalised, I think it'd be a boring world.
But could you see that happen? Something like a coupe SUV? I don't know what to call those.
Do you
really.
think? Well, I'm not. Look, the PR man's behind you. He's going to pounce.
As an idea.
Why
is
not?
That an idea?
Why not?
All right.
Why
Fair
not?
enough. So one last thing then. We of course are waiting for this, you know, the confirmation of when it comes to our market, etc. But as what Discovery used to mean, let's say 1989 when it first came out. Obviously, even that definition has seen a big evolution today.
Yeah.
Does it sometimes worry you that in markets like ours, they get sort of clubbed together with luxury and people don't look beyond that and don't get into all the little nuances and the aspects and the capability of the car?
Well, at the end of the day, all these vehicles, clearly it's the way you position them in the marketplace, it's the way you communicate them is important, but I suppose it's, you know, these vehicles, once they're out there, it's when people become familiar with them, when they start to use them. I mean, to say, if you look at, I think the interesting thing about the Discovery is if you look at the traditional sort of SUVs, you know, let's say traditional 4x4s, this vehicle is far more sophisticated in terms of its refinement. And in terms of the way that, you know, the way it's presented, its premiumness and all those other things. And then if you compare it with the sort of more premium sort of soft-roaders, for want of a better description, against those vehicles, the Discovery is far more capable. So it does have a unique positioning against those. And I just think it's important for us to be able to communicate that in the right way.
That's a fair point. I can't wait to drive it, I can tell you.
It's a great car to drive.
Cannot wait. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Always good to see you. So there's lots at the Paris Motor Show. We'll also have a couple of other stories for you on the program next week from Paris. But for now, let's slip into a very short break here. Plenty more coming up on CNB Bazaar Buzz.